Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
Good. I had a beer league game, and I hardly played because when I got out there, I felt a bit of a, not a bit of one, like a major groin twinge. So I just thought, not doing this, not taking that. I don't want to be limping around, so it was the last regular season game with the playoffs coming up, so I just sat it out. But other than that, Bruce, I'm doing good. And the Oilers certainly had a typical night. Typical Oilers victory, 5-4. They're an interesting team, Bruce. They're a very good team with some iffy elements here and there. All right, let's just get at it. 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. What's your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Edmonton power play that clicked on a 2-for-4 rate tonight, and they took 2 shots on net, and they both went in. Pretty efficient. Particularly efficient was the first power play goal, which I'm just going to talk about briefly. The 5-way passing play that took an entire 6 seconds to produce the 1-1 goal. And the Oilers drew a penalty from some pretty whistle-happy referees in the first period in this game. Just a few seconds after Arizona had opened the scoring. And the power play went something like this. Draisaitl wins the face-off back to Nuge. Nuge passes it over to Bouchard. He passes back to Nuge. He passes over to McDavid. He fires a perfect pass in front, and Hyman just chips it home from the edge of the blue paint. Bam. Took me longer to describe it than it took them to do it. 6 seconds. And what would you say? Every guy on the power play touched the puck from the face-off win to it going in the back of the net. I think it's also appropriate to point out that nobody on Arizona touched the puck at any point in that sequence. It was just ownership and domination by Edmonton. They just make it look so easy sometimes when they, when they make their shots, basically.
And those weren't passes around the horn. Those were zigzagging passes, cutting, slicing through cross seam, diagonal passes. From Bouch to Nuge was a diagonal pass. Nuge to, which was open, it was the least challenging of the passes. Right. But then Nuge makes an incredible pass to McDavid, and McDavid makes an incredible pass to Zach Hyman. Yep. Excellent work.
Puck winds up in the net. Second power play goal was a little less a work of art, but efficient as well. And a good setup of an outside shot that just hit a leg in front and bounced to Nuge at the end of the crease, and he pounded it home. So, and that was the game winner that turned around what was otherwise a pretty weak third period from Edmonton, but they got just enough to get the job done.
And Edmonton now has, Bruce, the #1 NHL power play all time again. They've clawed back into the lead. They're tied 31.9% with Montreal, 1977-78 Montreal Canadiens. But Edmonton's ahead, I guess, by a few ticks at the end of those decimal strings. So I'm really hoping they can finish first overall all time. That would be fantastic. It would be a fitting lasting tribute to this great power play if they got that ranking #1 all time. Although I wonder if someone's going to go back eventually and work out power play percentages. How hard would that be? Would that be that impossible? Like could not artificial intelligence do it? Maybe GPT.
Wait, yeah, maybe all the way back.
Yeah,
a lot of like I look at those old summaries from time to time in my role as a hockey historian wannabe, and you look at the old game summaries, and they don't even record the penalty data in some of them.
Oh.
So it shows up as the power play being 0 for 0, and you can see the penalties in the box score, but nobody's done any of the work, so it would be a lot of work to figure it out. And
you couldn't do it then.
So yeah.
Or someone would have done it by now, I bet.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
NHL.
gone back in quite a few different stat categories. They've gone back in time. I mean, save percentage, when I started seriously doing this in around 2008 or so, they only went back to 1983. Now they go back, I think, 1955. So they've just gone back and done the work. And, the shots have been recorded all this time and showing up in summaries, and somebody just had to go back and do the grunt work, or, set up most likely set up the computer program to scrape the data and work it all out.
One thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just that some of the goalies of the late 60s and early 70s, early expansion era, were the record setters. Like, for example, Jacques Plante, and the NHL record 944 save percentage, which was better than Dominik Hasek, who had been credited with the record. But when they went back and looked at past records, they found Jacques Plante with, I think it was when he was with Toronto of all teams, 944 save percentage. He had 940 in another year, like right around then too. So it wasn't
St. Louis.
Yeah, it wasn't even from his Montreal days. It was from later in his career. And so there's a few surprises like that they uncovered when they went back into the archives.
One thing that was never talked about, or rarely talked about, in the 1980s was a goalie's save percentage. It was all goals against average was talked about.
Yeah.
But save percentage, because I was looking at Andy Moog's save percentages, and they were all in the late, like high, kind of like Jack Campbell's right now, like 880 or whatever it is.
That was good then.
And that was, fascinating though, because we never came up. It just never, it's the go-to stat right now, like the basic stat that's used to raise.
Goal save above expected, David. Come on, that's a new one.
I don't trust those numbers, Bruce, because if they count missed shots, if they can't, if they're counting missed shots, or do they count missed shots on that one?
No, on goals saved above expected. Those are the actual shots the goalies face.
Yeah, they're still not counting velocity. They're still not counting screens, or they're not counting a lot of stuff in those particular stats. So they might be useful, but I'm just saying they're not. I don't.
Depends who's doing it. The one, the goalie guru that's on Jason Gregor's show every Monday, Kevin Woodley. Yeah. They use a clear sight analytics, and they go way deeper into how the shot is generated, where the pass comes from, is it screened or unscreened, is the goalie moving or is he set? All those variables that they try and cover. And apparently clear sight is a good ways more advanced than some of the sort of publicly available. Like you can get it if you don't mind paying for it, but and some teams do, But,
no, I have no doubt that some people are doing it right. Like there's many NHL teams and there's many private companies that are doing it right and getting really good data on who's has the highest expected goal save percentage or whatever it is. But they
have adjusted save percentage is kind of their highlight one, where expected save percentage and then adjusted save percentage. So sometimes even two goalies on the same team face a different quality of shot from one to the other, and that shows up in their expected save percentage, and then they adjust from that.
What did I hear about Jack Campbell? He's let in like 50, I think it was 25 more goals than expected this year.
26 more than expected was the last last number.
That makes sense to me. Like
that was from Sportlogique, which is another high-end analysis company.
Yeah, that sounds about right with Jack Campbell. Let me just see. We have our own stats on it. Is that what that is?
Pretty close. Like he's played just over 30 games.
He is. He's
31 starts, 26 goals allowed, more than expected.
Is that right? 26. I'm just looking up our number. I just about have it. Come on, computer. Bring me the number. Bring me the number. Here we go. Jack Campbell has let in, according to us, 31. So
Where he's
according to
made a
our,
mistake on the
he's made
goal.
a major mistake on a goal against
Mhm.
31 times. I think
Yeah.
that's so we have an even higher than that.
Yeah, although I think you would expect a few of those on any goalie. Like they're, no goalie's perfect. So, and I mean, they also make saves what they shouldn't have made and so on. But anyway, 31 is a lot. 26 is a lot. Either way you look at it, it's not been good.
Yeah, Skinner's at 18 and considerably more playing time than. Okay, my good thing, Bruce, is tonight. It's I was tempted to go with Darnell Nurse shorthanded goal, but I'm going to go with the Bouchard bomb. Um, for the Oilers to win in the playoffs, they need Evan Bouchard to fire on net and score goals and create goals. It is a indispensable element of a top power play, and the Oilers had that with Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie could really fire that puck. Bouchard, I think, has a better shot than Barrie, although we haven't consistently seen it this year. He when he shoots and people block it, it hurts them consistently. You block Bouchard's shot, he's shooting it at a velocity few players in the NHL can achieve, and so it's just fundamental to this team winning in the playoffs. Him shooting and creating goals, and he did so tonight on 2 goals. The Oilers' second goal of the game, they come breaking in. Matthias Ekholm makes a pass, I think, to Bukestad, who takes it towards the net. The puck goes behind the net, and Warren Foegele picks it up and makes a very nice pass. Yeah. As Warren Fogel's been doing increasingly as this season's gone along, he's more confident with the puck. He found Bouchard in the high slot with the low-high pass, goalie way back in his crease, right on his goal line, and Bouchard just fired at it immediately. That was a wrist shot, not so much a bomb. The second goal, which you've already alluded to briefly, was the winning goal, the power play goal, where Bouchard he wound up and he hammered that shot on net, and it was a blistering slap shot. And when I think of that, the other great power play, of course, we've already mentioned this last podcast, was the Islanders' power play, and they had Potvin and Stefan Pearson, who both had great wrist shots.
Yeah.
And mainly wrist shots, but they could also smash the puck.
Especially.
Yeah, Potvin could really shoot that puck, and he could really wrist shot that puck.
He could beat goalies from the point with wrist shots.
He could. He was immensely strong, and so Bouchard got off the shot, and it ripped in there, and it caused all kinds of torture and confusion. And Nugent Hopkins put in the rebound. Leon Draisaitl set up that shot with a very nice pass back to Bouchard. So the Oilers have players who can set up Bouchard for the one-timer, and he can unleash it, and that has to be an element for them to win. And he showed that he's capable of executing tonight, just like he showed in previous seasons. He can do it, but his last 2 games on the power play, he's looked really solid to me. Wasn't a lot of power play time overall tonight because of their execution. But even on the first goal where he didn't have much to do, he got it back to him and he put it right where he needed to, really fast, really smartly, and he's starting to do that. I think we saw that last game, a lot of confidence in his passing the puck. Bruce,
well,
you're
Bouch, his one last thing on Bouch. Talked about this a while back. With tonight's outcome of 1 shot on net, which went in, and 3 shots that were blocked, one of which resulted in an Oilers goal. But he's now back to having more shots blocked than on goal this year. 144 shots on goal, 145 that were blocked. Just a dismal ratio. But as you say, the sort of the dark underbelly of it all is that when those shots are blocked, they tend to leave a mark, and they often tend to leave the opposition either with a broken stick or a guy kind of wincing and trying to stay on his feet because he's taken one off the ankle or what have you. But his shots getting through ratio has been terrible.
Yeah.
But I think his offensive game, obviously he's starting to respond. I think he's up to 12 points in 11 games since Barry left.
It's 12
So
games, but
is it 12? Okay.
yeah,
Anyway, he's
or
right
13
there.
games by now. Yeah.
He's right there.
Uh,
So
yeah, the Ekholm, because the Ekholm trade was a little bit before the trade deadline. Yeah. He is Evan Almighty when he's firing. He's Evan Almighty when he's firing those point shots, Bruce. He can hammer that puck. All right. Your bad thing is.
yeah, my bad thing is going to be the 4-3 goal that got Arizona back in the game in the third period. And Edmonton had basically dominated the second, and they came out and they had, like a full round of forward line shifts to start the third, and it just looked like they were really going to shut this thing down. And then they got a dreadful sequence from Jack Campbell on the 4-3 where the puck was shot in from outside the blue line. First, Campbell came out to play the puck, and then he delayed where he was going to pass it to, and then he dumped it around the boards to nobody. So that's how Arizona got the possession of the puck. And then they generated a not dangerous shot from outside, and Campbell sort of punted out the rebound like he was doing all night. He was a trampoline in the nets tonight in terms of rebound control. Pucks were bouncing off him in whatever direction. I mean, the third and fourth that both resulted in goals were rebounds that just went sideways. And so in this particular one, the rebound went out to his right, and the Phoenix forward who picked it up, Matthias Michelli, who had a really good game, 2 really good games against Edmonton in the last week. He was on it, and Campbell was, I don't think, expecting the rebound to go in the direction that he did. So his first reaction was to thrust out after it with his right leg. And so he got pulled way out of position off to the side of the net. Michelli beat him to the puck, pulled it all the way across the goal line. And now Campbell is sort of kicking across with his left leg, trying to get across the net, and he just can't get over there. And Michelli just waits. McDavid almost checks it off his stick, but he's able to control it and then just tap it into the short side because Campbell's kicking motions have just come up short, and then he's just in no position to cover the rebound shot. And the original rebound, to me, it was a poor rebound, or at least an uncontrolled rebound. And there was just way, way too many of those in this game. And this one, all of a sudden, it's in the net. Arizona's got life. A minute later, they got another rebound, another goal, and all of a sudden, the game's up for grabs.
Yeah, the turnover was bad, but the rebound was worse. So I think it was the biggest of the mistakes because without that bad rebound, there's no goal.
Right.
So, yeah, he got the win. It was a typical Jack Campbell win where he lets in 4 or 5 goals and he still gets the win. And there's that to be said in his favor, I suppose. But he just is still not looking solid in the net. So much so that I hope when the playoffs come around, they call up Calvin Pickard and have another goalie on hand. Unless Campbell, like he's probably, the Oilers aren't really fighting for much here unless if they can beat LA tomorrow, maybe they will be fighting for something. But other than that, they're just, Seattle lost tonight. I think it's kind of settling down here. So there might be an opportunity to play him 3 or 4 times even and see if he can get his game together for the playoffs. If he can't, then call up Pickard for the playoffs. Jean-Luc. All right. Go ahead. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say he did kind of stiffen up down the stretch of this game, and I thought he was okay in the last 5 minutes. Wasn't a strong game, but
he made a lot of great saves in the first.
He made some saves.
Yeah, so it's good for you brought that up because I was pretty negative there, but he did make. They had 19. The grade A shots were 19 for Phoenix, for Arizona, and 13 for the Oilers. The 5 alarm shots were 10 for Arizona, 6 for the Oilers. So essentially, he stole the game, by our definition, which is 4 grade A shots differential. By the I used that definition earlier this year, I should say. But a lot of those shots came on rebounds, and he was his own worst enemy in that regard. My bad thing is the first goal against, where he didn't make a mistake on, but a lot of other Oilers did. And it's more just the first goal of the game thing. I know that the Oilers have been in the habit of more often now scoring the first goal of the game, but it's just tedious, still. It was a bad, I just had a little bit of reminder of this bad habit. And with Campbell in that, it just left a sour taste, even though, again, he wasn't particularly bad on this goal. It was screened by Evander King, but the play starts, Matthias Janmark, who I think is the best defensive forward on the Oilers. He was covering at the blue line. I think it was Nurse who went in. And Janmark was there to cover. And what does he do? He plays like a forward at the blue line. When Arizona starts rushing out the puck, instead of skating backwards like a defenseman, he skates forward to try to pick it off their stick. And man, that was a mistake because they just went. They it was turnstile on the play, and they just drove up the ice. And it's that Matthias Maccelli, is that his name? Mm-hmm. He takes the puck in, he cuts back into the middle. He does a cut back into the middle of the slot around Ceci, and then through a screen he shoots on net. And it sounded like there was a tip. It just might have been sticks clashing in front of the net.
Might have been.
Or it might have been hitting Evander Kane's stick and going in. But it sounded like there was a tipped shot.
Sure did.
And it beat Campbell. So it was a crappy start to the game. Like, it'd be nice just to win one of these games 4-0 or 6-0.
Yeah, sure would. Yeah, no, it was a shot. I did get tipped, just like the second one, and both of them found a hole in Campbell, which is a saying that we've been using a lot this year. And in both cases, it found a hole between his arm and his body. It was the glove side on the first one, stick side on the second one. But puck, it wasn't like just inside the post, unstoppable. It just was deflected and somehow found a hole.
I don't know, like the other
so
one.
You don't blame Campbell on that goal, but you still like to get a stop, like close up shop in there. Anyway, and like I say, down the stretch in the third, he actually did a better job of that when it mattered. So I'm still puzzled as to how I'm going to grade that performance.
I'd say a 5.
And, it's 4 or 5. That's where I'm at, right in there.
Yeah. All right, your number, Bruce.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, I was just going to give Campbell's 8 straight 800 game or below 900 games and stuff, but no, I'm going to go away from that. My number is 300, and 300, the Oilers entered this game with 3 players in a 3-way tie with 299 goals each. And the hope was that all 3 of them would score in the same game and set some kind of record. But in fact, only one of the 3 scored, and it turned out to be Leon Draisaitl that finally burst the bubble of the 300 with a big goal that put Edmonton ahead 4-2 late in the second. And it's funny how it goes, like the previous shift, Draisaitl had an absolutely fantastic chance where first of all, the Oilers had one great chance in close, and then RNH was able to pull the rebound out of the pile back to Leon in the mid slot with the goalie down and the net gaping. And he fired right away. He got it up, but he dinged either the post or the crossbar. I never saw exactly where it hit other than, I think it went out of play, so that usually means crossbar and up and out. So that seemed to be just a glorious chance. And then on his very next shift, the shot came, or the pass came from Ekholm at the point, and he was trying to hit the Oiler in the slot, and the defender for Arizona, I think Josh Brown, he reached out to deflect the puck away from that guy. Might have been Nuge in the slot, and it went instead to Draisaitl by the boards, and he just quickly let her rip while sort of the chaos was in front of him, and it just went right through everything and into the net from the boards. And he had a look of bemusement on his face, sort of thing. I can't believe I missed the last one, and then this one went in. But sometimes that's the way it works. Ekholm got hosed out of an assist on that play, by the way, because they called it as if the Arizona guy had full possession, and all he did was tip the puck away from one Oiler to another. To me, I award that assist every time. It's one thing if the guy has full control and gives it away, then it's an unassisted goal. That did not happen on this play. So minor thing. Ekholm's not looking for points bonuses or anything, but I thought he got rooked there. Anyway, 300 for Leon. Congratulations. And they asked Zach Hyman about it after the game, and he said, "How can you explain a guy with the reputation of the best passer in the league has 300 goals?" And he said he's a pass first 50 goal scorer, and that's exactly what he is, because he's been a pass first player the whole time. He shoots when
Yeah.
when it's the right decision to shoot, but he won't waste shots from outside very often. In this actual case, he did, but it wasn't really wasted because there was chaos and screenage, and I don't think the goalie ever saw it.
As I recall, we've seen a pass first 92 goal scorer in the Edmonton Oilers history.
True that.
It can happen. It's more in basketball where the idea of a pass first scorer is more of an anomaly. The scorers in basketball, they like scoring and they score.
They're taking the ball to the hole.
Yeah, it's less likely that they're going to be great passers, although it happens like Larry Bird, Ron James, obviously. All right, Bruce, my number. I've got two numbers which are work in tandem. One of them is 2301. And the other one is 1827. And they're the even strength ice time for Matthias Ekholm at 2301 and Darnell Nurse at 1827. And just shows in this game, at least, they were trusting Ekholm with a slightly heavier minutes, considerably heavier minutes, 4.5 more minutes of even strength. Like they're really counting Matthias Ekholm at this point, and Evan Bouchard, who was at 2111.
Right.
And Cody Ceci was at 1627. So it's just as big as gap there.
Right. 5-minute gap in both cases, basically.
Yeah. So, it's interesting just how Bouchard and Ekholm have been rising in the coach's esteem. They're really starting to rely on these two players. And I can see why. I know, again, Evan Bouchard has his critics. He has his faults. He makes mistakes. But he can really move that puck. And in combination with Ekholm, who's a superlative defensive player, they're quite a pairing. They're quite effective out there, extremely effective. And I can see why the coaches want them on the ice more than any other defensive pairing right now, at least in this game.
Yeah, they're extremes. There was one play in the first period where it was just the two of them involved in a play that resulted in an Arizona breakaway. And this was one where Ekholm went back under pressure and he tried to fire a hard shot off the boards and to clear the zone. And at first it looked like maybe his shot had caught an Arizona player's leg that was over the boards ready to come on for a chance.
Yeah.
But I looked at the replay, and what he did was he fired it very hard off of a green plastic, sounded like, sign that was on the boards inside the line, and it hit the board. It hit that spot and it went splat and it just died. And Ekholm's, his shot was plenty strong enough that thing should have just sort of sprung off the boards and out into the neutral zone. And so they picked it up by the boards. And then Bouchard, for no apparent reason, he stops skating backwards and he just starts sort of coasting towards the puck. And one pass and the guy's behind Bouchard and in for a shot, and Campbell stopped that one. So that was the one. But then there was the reverse one in the second period. Same two players, also a breakaway, but this time it was Bouchard holding the puck, waiting for an Arizona guy to commit to the line change, and Ekholm snuck right in behind him. Bouchard hits him with the perfect lead pass, and Ekholm just goes around everybody, tries to deke the goalie, goes wide on the goalie, and Vejmelka had to do this full-on split right across the net to barely stop the deke and shot by Ekholm. Beautiful play, really, by both guys and by the goalie, I guess, to make that save. And so you just kind of get, with Bouchard in particular, you're going to get some of both in most games.
Yeah. Bruce, let's leave it there. We're going to be back at this tomorrow night, same time, same place.
We are.
So let's just, you got some writing to do, so
I do.
I will sign off and say thank you for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult Hockey Podcast.